Now, long before I was on the History Channel, I was a construction worker. I was a journeyman in my craft, and I was a shop instructor. That's right. I taught the trades. Now, here's the thing. Year after year after year after year, my class would come into the shop, and oh my goodness, they would be scared of this guy right back here. Well, that's what inspired today's video, because I want to show you how to operate a table saw very safely, show you some things you can do, and I'm going to introduce you to a few gadgets that you may not know. They're going to help you keep these and help you keep yourself safe and get some really nice precision cuts. So why don't we we're going to just jump right into it. When operating any table saw, make certain that you're wearing ear protection and eye protection. Make certain that you unplug your table saw if you're gonna physically be touching and handling the blade. Maybe you need to swap the blade out. Maybe you need to replace your riving knife with the guard. But if you're physically gonna have your hands on it, make certain that you unplug the saw first. One of the questions I get quite often is, Leah, how high should I raise that saw blade in relationship to the stock I'm cutting? And there are really two trains of thought. Number one, you can raise your saw blade significantly higher than the stock that you're cutting. And I want you to notice this. What that does is it increases a very steep saw blade arc. And what that means is that less saw blade is coming in contact with the wood you're cutting. You're going to wind up with a much better cut. You're not going to have burn marks on the side of your wood, and you're going to get less tear out. The second train of thought is what I always practice and what I used to teach my students. And that is just to allow a little bit of the saw blade like this here to protrude out the surface of the stock that you're cutting. Now, what that does is it decreases the steepness of the arc. What that means is more saw blade is going to come in contact with the wood. That wood is going to heat up, and you may get burn marks, or if you go too fast, you may get tear out. Now, the benefits to a lower saw blade are, well, God forbid your hand comes in contact with the saw. Now, you're going to get cut, but chances are you're not going to lose a finger. So it's really, really important when you're learning to use a table saw to have a consistent feed speed that's smooth and forward. And then you're less likely to get, burn marks or tear out. When you're operating a table saw, you'll want to make certain that your hands never get too close to this blade. You want to keep your hands at a distance of at least 4 inches. Never allow your hand to be in direct line with the blade. Be on one side of the blade or the other side of the blade. A great addition to any table saw is a safety switch like this. This safety switch has the start button, the green button here, recessed. So you can't accidentally turn on your table saw without really intending to do so. Secondly, if you need to turn off your table saw very quickly and you don't have free hands, you can always use a knee or a hip. Now, there are a couple tools you can use that are going to keep your hands safe, and you'll keep all your fingers and away from the blade, and it's push blocks here or push sticks. I gotta tell you, I like the push sticks a lot more than I like the push blocks. But you know what? It's personal preference, folks. The reason I prefer a push stick is because I can stand at a distance as I feed my stock through the blade. A table saw is really ideal for making rip cuts. And what a rip cut is when you're cutting a piece of wood that is longer in length than it is wide, and generally you're cutting with the grain. Now there's going to come a time when it's just not practical to use a push stick. Maybe you're cutting a large piece of plywood. And in this case, it's all right to feed the wood through the blade using just your hands, as long as you remember to keep your hands safely away from the blade. And this, of course, is a time when having an outfeed table is very, very important because the stock itself is so large. Once it gets to the end of the table saw, you want that plywood to have some place to land on. And that's why, well, having an outfeed table is a good idea. This tool right here, this is what's called a miter gauge. And a miter gauge, well, it tends to come with a table saw when you purchase a table saw. And what it allows you to do is it helps support the stock as you make a crosscut. Now, a crosscut is different than a rip. A rip tends to go with the grain, and a crosscut goes against the grain. Not only that, when you're cross-cutting wood, the stock tends to be wider than it is in length. A miter gauge, it's also adjustable. It allows you to pivot it to various degrees. Now, I'm going to set it here at 45, and we're going to make a 45-degree cut. If you find yourself having to make the same cut over and over and over again, and you need it to be completely accurate, but most importantly, you need to do it safely, this is the tool you need. If you don't know what it is, it's called a Magswitch. And a Magswitch, it's like a magnet that you turn on and off like a light switch. Now, right now, it's in the lock position. I know that because it's on my table saw and I can't budge it. Now, this little black knob here, all I have to do is turn it off, and guess what? It lifts right off my table, which is why I like this thing and I use it often in my shop. Let me show you how I put it to work. So I've got a piece of stock here and I have to make 10 cuts, all the same length, and I'm making cross cuts because I'm using my miter gauge. And when you want to measure the same cuts and repeat that same cut over and over again, what people are tempted to do is use their fence in combination with their miter gauge. And you know, your fence really is just for ripping. It's not meant to be used with your miter gauge to make cross cuts. Now, this is where a Magswitch comes in. Now, the interesting thing about these Magswitches is you can use them in jigs as well. I'm going to use mine without a jig, and I'm going to set it in place, okay? And now I'm going to turn it on. So it's turned on, it's locked, it's not going anywhere. Now maybe you're thinking, well, Leah, doesn't that work like the fence? Won't it get kind of pinched in? No, because once I get past the Magswitch, there's nothing to pinch it in. I can just take my cut. Okay, so let's check them, all right? And there we go, folks. Nice and flat and even across. There are 3 things you never ever want to do with the table saw. Number 1, you never want to use your miter gauge and your fence in combination with each other. What that can do is it can cause a kickback in a hurry. What can happen is the wood, as you feed it through the blade, it can get pinched between the fence and the blade and then start to turn on you. Once this wood turns, you're in big trouble because it can get caught on the back tooth of the blade and kick it right back at you. Now, the reason a kickback is so dangerous is because that wood is coming at you at an incredible speed of 120 miles an hour. So imagine if you get a kickback and it's a large piece of lumber. If it hits you, you feel it. Number 2, you never want to try to cut a warped piece of wood on a table saw because that too can cause a kickback. And 3, you never want to freehand cut a piece of wood on a table saw. And what I mean by that is you don't want to feed that wood through the blade unsupported. you want to use at least a miter gauge if you're making a crosscut. Now, if you get a little nervous making a crosscut with a miter gauge, you know, you can always use a table saw sled. You can make one yourself or you can purchase one. What you have to do is you have to think of this tool here as being this tool, but on steroids. It allows you to take large stock and secure it and make very safe, controlled, precise cuts, cross cuts, on a table saw. What I have here is a piece of scrap pine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cut, and I'm going to make a miter cut at 10 degrees. Now, you can make straight cuts, you know, 90 degrees, but the beauty of this tool is it allows you to change that and make miter cuts as well. So I'm going to set this up at 10 degrees. That's 5. Now I'm going to put it on 10. Now I'm going to tighten up my knob. Miter cut, 10 degrees, right? There are all kinds of tools that you can use on a table saw that will help prevent kickbacks and help you remain safe and help you keep all of these. Now this right here, this is a featherboard. Now let me show you how we use a featherboard. You've got these 2 guides here that fit in the track of your table saw. So let's place those in. Just like that, and you can also make lateral adjustments to it. Now, the most important thing you gotta always remember is you set up your featherboard before your blade. Now, I'm gonna take my stock here, I'm gonna place it against my fence, and now I'm gonna use the lateral movement of my featherboard to hold that tightly against the fence. And then I just take these knobs and hold it in place. If you're ripping a board on a table saw and it keeps drifting away from the fence, you need this. It presses the wood firmly against the fence before it reaches the blade. That means you're going to get straighter cuts, smoother cuts, and way less chance of getting a kickback. It's like having an extra set of hands in the shop. An extra hands, well, I'll take those. Now, beyond the do's and the don'ts and techniques that I've shared in this video, there's equipment on your table saw that helps prevent a kickback. And on this table saw, it's a riving knife. That's what this is here, and it prevents the wood from catching on the back of the blade as you feed it through. Now, this is a guard that you find mostly on household table saws, but it does the same job that a riving knife does. It helps prevent kickbacks. So never take your riving knife or your guard off your table saw because, well, they're there to keep you safe. Now, what I'll do is I'll place a link in the description below to all the things that I used in this video so you can check them out for yourself. This is Leah saying you can do this. See you next time.